Okay, so it's like 5:30 a.m. This is my morning ritual. Usually I don't record myself this early. I just write my books and stories and do the voice recording. So this is a YouTube video though, and I've got to be on camera at 5:30 in the morning. So what I'm doing is I'm going to my office where all the lighting, we're gonna try out some new things today. I'm gonna be there all alone in the dark, but that's okay because we're gonna do this together. Let's go make some books. Okay, this is the co-working space where I work. I'm probably the only one here, as is typical this early in the day. So this is my day job work, but I also write here too. I come here a lot when I need to record, get away from the noise at home, although sometimes it's super noisy here. A lot of these people are like into real estate and stuff, and so they like to keep their doors open and be like, I'm gonna close $1 million deal. Yeah, you better get over there, you better close it right now. Like, so everyone can know how important they are, I guess. So here's my little office. Open it up, lights on. Okay. So we're gonna be recording here on this mic today. We got this Rode something. I always think it's funny, like everyone already knows the names of their equipment and stuff. Oh, I've got the A714 such and such, whatever. All I do is I quantify it by how much I paid for it. So this is the $400 Rode microphone. So that's what we're gonna do. Suddenly, something happened. Okay, so I wrote the story, this micro story. So on Instagram, I write these micro stories are like 60 seconds. And I wrote this story called Left Behind. I go onto this website where I purchase art, purchase photos, things like that. And there's this artist named Grand Failure, and he had this picture of some guy in a spacesuit shooting a flare. And what I did back then, at least, was whenever I get a picture, the very first thing that comes to my mind, I just write a story on it. So a 60-second story, it's about 140 words. So I just wrote a story on it. The very first thing that came to my mind was like, oh my gosh, this dude's in a spacesuit holding up a flare, but those people can't pick him up. What is he doing? These are spaceships. It doesn't even make sense. So I thought that's kind of dumb, and it kind of turned into a satire thing. What if someone got left behind? And he's like, hey guys, I'm right here. And so it just turned into this fun story. Anyway, it got a ton of feedback, like 155 comments on here, and everyone was like, I need more. I want to read more of this. Where is this? Is there a book on this? Is there spiders? Man, there's so many people who are like, I want more. Where's the rest? Where's the rest of the story? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make more. So then I wrote this like 3,000 word story, you know, like, I don't know, like a 10-minute story, and I put it on my podcast thinking everyone's gonna listen to it, it's gonna be exciting, and nobody listened to it. Nobody even cared. Everyone asked for it, but nobody listened to it. And it's probably the medium, but I'm excited now. So I've re-recorded it here on YouTube, much more exciting, making it much more accessible. So here is Left Behind, the full story about Joe and his survival on Earth. You see those things shooting up into the sky? Yeah, those are the last 3 evacuation pods on planet Earth. Why am I holding this flare? Not because I think they'll turn the car around and come pick me up. That would be quite impossible. I just want them to know that they're leaving me behind. Maybe one of them will look out the window at the last moment and be like, oh crap, we forgot Joe. I feel really bad. And they should, because they're leaving me on a planet with giant man-eating cockroaches. Oh, not just cockroaches, of course, but every type of disgusting and awful bug you could ever think of. Not the little ones, mind you. They're pretty big, like elephant-sized, but not as gentle. Oh look, here comes one of them now. Thanks, guys. Make sure to write. Come on, boy. We better get out of here. You know, life wasn't always this crappy. Well, maybe it was, but not run for your life kind of crappy. Just normal high school stuff. You know, like not being cool, taking 5 AP classes at once, and being the only person without a date at the prom. What makes it even worse was that I was already in a nerd school, Jillian's Academy for the Gifted. That's right, the smartest kids on Earth who would be the first to colonize a new planet. 10 years ago, the first probes sent to Proxima Centauri returned to Earth with some promising data, that basically it was time to move to a new planet. That was the good news. In fact, it was great news because our ozone was on the verge of collapse. But then came the bad news. You see, the probe to Centauri was only one of 2 probes. 1 year later, the other probe returned from its long mission to Gliese 832c. The data from this guy was fairly promising as well. The planet could sustain life. Unfortunately, it brought back some of that life with it to Earth. It was a microscopic organism, captured the fascination of scientists throughout the world. We even made an official declaration that yes, alien life did exist. Yay! Hooray for us. Or not, because this harmless organism wasn't actually so harmless. It was highly attracted to a few different types of species on our planet. The first were arthropods. Those bugs and creatures with claws and exoskeletons, you know, the nice ones, right? Like scorpions, centipedes, and arachnids. Those are spiders, in case you didn't know. The second were cephalopods, such as squids, octopus, and cuttlefish. No, I didn't say cuddle as in cuddly. I mean cuttlefish as in wavy tentacles and blinking lights that turn you into a mindless zombie before they eat you. These 2 little organisms brought substantial growth and aggression to our friendly Earth animals, thus quickly taking over the land and the water. In the beginning, the world banded together to fight these awful monsters. But they kept getting bigger, and they could produce spawn much quicker than we could. And since the planet was already going to be cancerized with UV radiation, we decided it was time to leave. Not everyone, though, of course. Only the brightest and most useful of humanity. I was one of those people, though now I'm starting to have second thoughts about my skills as they did just leave me behind, to die. Okay, so they didn't leave me behind on purpose. I was assigned to shuttle number 4 at the old Dodger Stadium. All of the shuttles had been constructed underground. The remnants of the military were tasked with defending each of the locations until a successful launch could be made. The problem with this plan was that none of the soldiers were shipping off with us, so it's fairly understandable that they were nowhere to be found when we arrived. Luckily, most of the facility and the ship were intact. When I say most, I mean everything except a small cooling issue from the cryo chamber. While the other 222 passengers were strapping up, Boss asked me and Dog to decouple the cooling link from cryo. It had been an easy enough job. A minipede, one of those smaller of the beasties, had chewed through the cup-link, and I dispatched it quickly. Unfortunately, its much larger mother was wreaking havoc on the ship at that very moment. The whole thing went up in flames. All 222 of my colleagues and friends were gone in an instant. And that's what happened. Now it's just Dog and me. I mean, we're not totally alone. Only a fraction of the people are actually leaving the planet. There are still plenty of survivors and underground warriors who are fighting to reclaim Earth. I think it's kind of hopeless, but maybe it's the only course of action at this point. I don't know. What do you think, Dog? Can you see me leading a ragtag group of fierce warriors? Wow. Thanks for the vote of confidence. After some heated debate, Dog and I decide to head back home while we figure things out. The journey through the Hollywood Tunnel is uneventful. My bunker is in the Hollywood Hills beneath some famous rock star's mansion. I'm eager to get this heavy spacesuit off, but I'd prefer not to be running around bloodthirsty monsters in my whitey-tighties. We've probably got another good 30 minutes of walking to do. But suddenly, Dog stops. The fur on his spine goes rigid and his ears shoot straight up. Bad news. The dim lights of the tunnel make it impossible to see more than a few meters ahead. I close my eyes to listen to what is lurking in the shadows. And then I hear a familiar clicking sound. The clicks are fast, and I immediately know what wants to eat us. It's a centipede, Dog. Back off. These guys aren't that fast in a chase, but they strike with lightning speed if you get too close. The worst part is that the venom paralyzes you, and they eat you while you're still alive. Not the best way to die. I turn around and run with Dog following close behind. We're going to have to take the previous surface exit. Heading outside is not ideal, but at least we can see what's trying to hunt us. I climb the surface ladder and open the hatch. Blinding light fills the tunnel. I whistle to Dog and he jumps into my arms, and then we emerge from the darkness. And a good thing too, because as we do, I see those devilish red legs creeping beneath us. As my eyes adjust, I see that we've landed on Hollywood Boulevard. It's not the best place to surface, but it's also not the worst. At noonday, the only thing we need to really worry about is the spiders. A long time ago, when they could fit in the palm of your hand, they were mostly nocturnal. but because we weren't blessed with giant birds to hunt them, they now own the day. The good news, though, is that humans aren't their ideal meal. They're kind of like sharks. They tend to eat you by accident. I can already spot multiple webs scattered across the buildings. The Chinese theater is just in front of me, which means home is about 20 blocks away, but it might as well be 20 miles. I'm going to need to find a weapon fast. Hey dog, find me a gun. Dog scampers off, and I slowly make my way down the street. I see some window blinds tilt open in an apartment building above. It could be a survivor, but most likely it's a cuttlebug. They usually leave part of your corpse intact. Then they use their tentacles to tap into the nervous system to move the body. And when an unsuspecting hero comes to save the day, instead they become the next snack. Process repeated. I hear the rumbling of an engine in the distance and then see a small convoy pass through an intersection. Military Humvees. There's no point in trying to catch up. They wouldn't stop for me anyway. We've all done the math. For every person you try and rescue, 2.5 people will die in the process. So, we try and save humanity by not saving humanity, if that makes any sense. I continue down the street, making sure to keep close to the immobilized cars parked in the street. To my right is the old Hard Rock Cafe. I hear a crash inside, a screech, and then I can see a flurry of movement in the dark. Definitely not grabbing a burger there anytime soon. 20 minutes have passed, and Dog still hasn't returned. It's not his longest excursion by any means, but I'm starting to get worried. To my right, I see the large Marshall's clothing store. Old military vehicles are parked in front, and the entire building has clearly been used as an outpost of some kind. Then I hear a bark. It sounds like it's coming from the building. Oh, you idiot! We don't go into buildings, you dummy! I pause for a moment, debating whether I should go in or not. I don't want to yell for him and expose my position. He could also be hurt or trapped, though. I realize I'll have to go in. My stomach sinks as I move in front of the store and stare into the broken windows. Though the sun is brilliant out here, the building is nearly pitch black inside. I think to turn around, but then hear the bark again. Stupid dog! I step into the dark building and glass cracks beneath my feet. I wish I had a flashlight, I say aloud. Flashlight activated. Oh, cool, right. I forgot my suit was voice activated. I also forgot it had a light. A yellow beam protrudes from my right shoulder and illuminates the store. My eyes go wide, and I can feel the vomit lurching up as I see dozens of bodies scattered across the floor. No, not bodies. Skeletons that have clearly been digested and expelled. Dog, let's go, I whisper. I get no response. Nope, I'm not doing this. Dog is on his own for now. As I move to turn toward the exit, the outside light is suddenly dimmed. This means that someone has closed the doors, or that something very large is standing behind me. Having been in this scenario before, I already know it's the latter. The best thing to do in situations like these is to stand perfectly still. Unfortunately, I'm scared out of my mind and instead run towards the center of the store. As I move, I stumble over some fleshy object in the ground and then crash into more of them with a gooey crunch. My heart is beating out of my chest as the light reveals what I've just destroyed. A group of disgusting insectoid egg sacs. The light reveals the larvae inside of the intact eggs, and I instantly know what they are. Your common household Arizona hairy scorpion. Now the sting on these things is barely enough to make you numb, which in this case actually isn't a good thing because when the pincers start chopping, you feel it all. I need to find a new exit, fast. I quickly rise to my feet and then spot a glowing exit sign in the rear of the room. Suddenly my leg is seized with great force. The pressure is unbearable, and my armored spacesuit is the only thing keeping me from hobbling on one foot for the rest of my life. The invisible monster throws me across the room and I slam into a rack of discount purses. I hear the clattering of feet and then see the 10-foot scorpion coming at me with fury. Its tail jabs forward and I roll to my right, barely dodging its stinger. My light shines on the thing, and I'm mortified as I see hundreds of baby scorpions crawling on its back. One of them leaps from the mother and lands on my chest. It slams its stinger into my suit, but doesn't penetrate. Joke's on you, Mom, I say as I rip the baby's tail from its body and then toss it over into the sales rack. Not a great idea. Mama screeches and clamps its pincer around my waist before I can even think. The pressure grows tighter and the younglings scramble on her back, getting ready for a meal. My spacesuit is bug-proof, but I wonder how long it will last. No weapons were allowed on the spaceship, and right now I'm thinking of the sawed-off shotgun that's resting against my bed. A loud hissing sound erupts from my suit, and my sexy woman counterpart tells me I've lost pressure. Good thing we're not in space right now. As breathing becomes more difficult, and as I look into the ugly fangs of this mutant bug, I suddenly hear something. I turn my head to the left and can see Dog. He's got something shiny in his mouth and drops it near my feet. He growls and barks at the scorpion as I dangle in its clasp. "Dog," I say, "attack!" The animal takes a step back and then sits down. "No, Dog, I said attack!" Dog tilts his head at me and then lifts his left paw. "You stupid dog, bite, attack! Help, please!" The mutt finally gets it and then leaps at the monster. It bites one of its legs and yanks hard. "Good boy," I say as the beast drops me on the floor hard. I exhale deeply and catch my breath. I then roll over to see the object that Dog had brought me. "What the heck, Dog? I said a gun. What is this?" Dog doesn't respond, of course, and understandably so as he continues to chomp on the giant scorpion. I pick up the object and glance over its black and white surface. It looks like a gun, but has an odd shape to it. My light reveals the words, "The Boring Company," and then it all makes sense. It's one of those limited edition Elon Musk flamethrowers from 20 years ago. Why it was here in a Marshall store, I can only wonder. I hear a yelp and then turn to look at Dog. One of the babies is attacking my little friend. 2 more jump down from their mother's back. "Get out of here, Dog! Go!" Dog doesn't hesitate and bolts out the front door into Hollywood Boulevard. The creature and its babies quickly turn toward me. I grab the mini flamethrower and pull the trigger. Nothing happens, of course. Why should it? I pull the trigger again, thinking that doing the same thing twice will yield different results. Not my best scientific thinking. A translucent baby jumps on my leg and pinches it hard. I almost think it looks cute for a minute, but that notion is dispelled as ugly mama raises her stinger at me again. Finally, I realize that like any good flame, it needs to be ignited first. Winning the Nobel Prize for Science is probably out of scope for me at this point. I press the red igniter button and a flame appears. I pull the trigger, waiting to watch this mofo burn, and am severely disappointed when the fire only stretches 2 feet in front of me. 2 of the babies latch onto my suit, then another 3 leap onto my back. "Suit integrity at 58%. Okay, things are getting a little intense. I pull the trigger on the flamethrower and start cooking the babies. They quickly leap away into the dark. Big Mama steps closer and then swipes her pincer at me. I dodge it and roll on the ground. It turns to face me and I pull the trigger. The flames barely touch her exoskeleton and I feel like an idiot. There's no going back now, though. I take a step forward and then line my helmet up directly in front of her face. I jam the weapon into its mouth and she chomps down like she just had a victory. Bad move, Mama. I pull the trigger and the flames project into her head. The creature wiggles and squirms, but its jaws are stuck in the device. After a good 20 seconds, her head explodes altogether. A slush of scorpion pus douses my body. The babies scurry off in all directions. I stand still for a moment as my adrenaline decreases. Dog barks from the street and it snaps me back to reality. I rip the flamethrower from the splattered head and then make my way outside and into the sunlight. I look at my arms and body and squirm at the sight of the gooey scorpion guts dripping all over. I quickly remove the spacesuit and take a breath of fresh air. It's been quite a day, and the last thing I want to do is walk around covered in bug guts. I figure I look pretty weird now, holding a flamethrower, wearing nothing but my underwear, but I'm feeling pretty good right now. I mean, I did just waste a 10-foot scorpion. If I gotta strut my whitey-tidies, then no big deal. Just then, I hear the sound of an engine coming from behind me, and then a voice. "Joe, is that you?" says a surprisingly female voice. I turn around bare-chested and half-naked to face the sound. I see 3 women piled in a pickup truck. One of them is hanging out the passenger window and gives me a big smile. "It is you, Joe!" I stare at her blankly, wondering if what I'm experiencing is real or a dream. I figure it must be a dream because otherwise this would be far too awkward and strange of a situation. "It's me, Melanie, from Chileans. We had like 8 classes together. It looks like you got left behind too, huh?" I know who she is, of course. Everyone at the school did. She was popular. But since this is a dream, I don't have to answer to anyone. In fact, I kind of have a grudge with Melanie. "So, if you are Melanie, tell me something. When I asked you to the prom, why didn't you say yes?" Her smile grows wider. "Well, it was kind of the end of the world, you know." It's a cop-out of an answer, but I guess it's acceptable for now. "You want to come with us? We have no idea where we're going, but we'll figure it out." "Only if Dog can come." "Of course," she says. Dog immediately jumps in the back of the truck as if he was waiting for the invitation. I open the rear door on the vehicle and climb inside with my flamethrower. To my surprise, Melanie jumps over the front seat and climbs in the back next to me. She's wearing white underwear with a bra, and nothing else. I smile. I then notice the other 2 women are wearing the exact same uniform. "Is this a dream?" I ask her. "It's more like a nightmare, don't you think?" I mean, I did, but things seem to now be looking up. She smiles again and ruffles my hair. "Let's go, girls," she says. The truck peels out and speeds down Hollywood Boulevard. Screw Alpha Centauri. I think I'll take Earth any day. Okay, so I'm gonna go home. I don't like working out of the office. I got the office for my team mostly, but it's kind of clinical. It's like I'm here at an office, I'm forced to work. It doesn't feel happy, so I'm gonna go my Jeep. I'm gonna go finish editing my book, The Last Hacker. The editor actually went through my book, and I just have to finish implementing her changes, and I'm 90% done. I gotta get the book to her by tonight. And then The Last Hacker book, which, you know, raised like $21,000 or $23,000 on Kickstarter. That's coming out this fall, so I'm super excited about that. I'm gonna go work on that all day, so I guess that's it. Thank you for being here, by the way. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and click the little bell to be notified, because I'm doing these every week. New stories every single week. Subscribe now.